Just 2 more episodes left of my Best of Next Fest 1023 Mega Showcase. Once again, we have even more indie games that are worth your time to check out. For our first game of the night, this is Ned, Iron Outlaw. This is a Metroidvania that is a loosely a recreation story of the infamous outlaw from Australia, Ned Kelly. But this one involves corrupting toxins, zombies, and giant evil spiders, bats, and more, which may or may not be accurate to Australia. I don't know, I haven't been there. But this is a Metroidvania edutainment in a weird way, as the game loads or has various scenes and information of the actual people during this time. But in this version, Ned must save Australia from the strange corrupting goo that is transforming people into monsters and that the government is using to cause trouble. In terms of the gameplay itself, you will use both knife and a various amount of guns. In order to explore the world, you'll gain upgrades and more powers, including the ability to slow down time by drinking beer, or a special kind of beer. The gameplay itself is good. It's not the most refined in terms of the Metroidvania design, but everything flowed pretty nicely, and after our time with the demo, I was curious to see where this game is going to go. So if you like your Metroidvanias with a bit of history to go with them, then you should at least give this one a check. And now we have Idun. This is a roguelike tower defense, where you must explore procedurally generated areas and defend them while you harvest resources from waves and waves and waves and waves of bugs and other critters coming to get you. In this one, as you clear maps, you'll gain various resources based on the difficulty that you play on. This can be used to unlock and upgrade your various towers, hero units, unlock additional features, and more. I like the kind of real-time liquid system they have, that you can see the enemy bug guts bubbling all around. Now admittedly, the writing in this one is a little bit excessive. The characters have a whole lot of lines that can interrupt you while you're just trying to kill lots of bugs. The progression reminds me a little bit of that of Defender's Quest, that while you could play on the higher difficulties, it does seem like they're more balanced around you collecting a lot of resources at the earlier ones to power everything up, to then take on the higher challenges to get more resources. But I did like the general gameplay and the kind of hold out King of the Hill style as more and more enemies come in to try and get you. So if you're looking for a tower defense with a heavy emphasis on the defending side, then at least give this demo a check. And now for something a lot more chaotic, we turn to Nitrojet. This is a Metroidvania where the entire world is destructible. You are trying to stop some monsters while the world is being destroyed, so I guess you can become the king of everything. And you're going to do that using your sword, jetpack, and any other abilities you will pick up. So the name of the game with this one is definitely chaos. Enemies will attack you from all angles, and you'll have to use your ability to just absorb the environment in order to keep you alive. Now, we didn't get to see any other upgrades that this game may have, and I was also a little bit confused as to where we were supposed to go as well, as the game just kind of leaves you to your own devices, and your devices are just destroy everything. But there is definitely something intriguing here about this one, and if you're looking for kind of that red faction, I will just break through an entire wall even if it takes me 5 to 10 minutes to do so kind of design, then this is definitely one worth your time. We now have CD2 Trap Master. I didn't know at the time, but this is developed by Ace Team. And, well, to put it simply, this is Slay the Tower Defense. You are exploring roguelike node-based maps, collecting cards, and getting into tower defense battles. Each battle takes place on, I believe, either a procedurally generated map, or it could be a randomly handmade one. Traps come in different varieties of kind of where they can be placed, the kind of damage they do, and cards can be upgraded, and there are of course different rarities of cards, artifacts, and so on and so forth. The general play here is that anytime a minion crosses over to your goal, you lose a life point, run out of life points, and you lose the run. Every time you win, you can choose a new card to add to your deck, and again, all the kind of deck building roguelite elements are here in full display. The issue that this game has for me is that it feels like one of those games where all your planning, all the cards you choose, can kind of fall apart if you get the wrong map or the wrong encounter. So I went with a strategy involving knocking enemies into water, because knocking enemies out of the field is always fun and exciting. And then I made it to the boss, and he just literally walked all over my traps, and there was not anything I could have done about it. It was just not doing enough damage otherwise. And this can present an interesting problem based on what bosses you're going to fight and the luck of the, I guess, a literal draw of the upgrades that you'll get. So there is definitely something interesting here for tower defense fans, if they can, I think, kind of make the cards a little bit more stand out. Not so much the ones that are already good, but give every card kind of some really nice effect to them, so that you're not screwed if you don't get that one perfect card. This could be an interesting game for tower defense / roguelike fans. We now turn to In Stone. This is a point-and-click adventure / horror game. We play a sculptor who has been confined to an insane asylum in a monastery, and something strange is going on. Or is it? We don't know if the mysterious happenings here are real or a product of our character losing her mind. And in order to solve these mysteries, we are going to explore the abbey and decide what clues and things we follow. The art style here is all hand-drawn and looks really fantastic. It's also a game where there's a lot of striking sounds and visuals. This is a very much a headphone warning style game. Now, with that said, while the game has a very interesting look, it does also make it hard sometimes to discern what are interactables and which ones are not. And puzzle logic in this one, it looks like it may be kind of going for older point-and-click games, meaning very weird logic that may not be the easiest to discern right at the start. But if you like your adventure games on the stylized side and a very interesting story to boot, then definitely check this one out. And now we turn to one game that is a lot more action heavy than our last. This is Immortal Hunters, a kind of action RPG beat 'em up. Now, one of the main aspects of this game that we did not get a chance to see is that it is co-op. I don't know how many people you can play with for multiplayer, but our story is that you are exploring a world where monsters and demons are all around, and you are a kind of immortal warrior. There are 4 characters. We could only play as one in the demo, and they each have access to different moves and abilities. And everything that you see at the bottom of the screen is kind of like a MMO-style hotbar. The aesthetics of this one are really well done, going for a kind of comic book style for how the characters look and the cutscenes behave. This one was growing on me, even with the kind of weird dialogue that our various characters were saying. Now, with that said, the game is definitely trying to do a lot. Between the co-op style, action, RPG, there's even kind of surviving while you're running on a stagecoach kind of gameplay. It's hard to tell from the demo just where is this game going to go in terms of will there be progression, how will it be balanced between multiple players and stuff like that. But this one is looking like it could be a solid take for action fans. So I would highly recommend checking this one out if you're interested in it, and this could be a hidden gem when it is released. We now have Blade of the Netherworld, and this is an action roguelike similar to that in the structure of Dead Cells. but with a focus on Japanese mythology and story. We play as the latest official of the Yin Yang office, whose job is to fight monsters and demons that are messing up the Netherworld. And to do that, we must explore randomly chosen areas and beat up lots and lots of enemies. The general gameplay here is high-speed action. You can attack and have different attacks based on which direction you're holding the analog stick. You'll gain access to different sub-weapons and primary weapons, which will change your approach. And you'll wear different masks that you'll find and collect that come with like a special power or perk as long as you wear them. As you complete areas and make progress, you'll be able to unlock additional things that will show up in subsequent runs. The art here is okay. It's not as detailed, of course, as what we saw in Dead Cells, but it works for this game. Combat is very fine-tuned, although it can be a little weird when you're performing the launch when you don't want to do it. Now, one thing that is very important to mention about this game is that you have no iframes. So, a lot of my deaths in this game came from just, hey, this guy shot 10 bullets, and all 10 bullets hit me immediately because I was in the wrong spot. But this one is certainly shaping up to be an interesting action roguelite. One thing to keep in mind though, with the version that we played on Steam, it is definitely apparent that English is not the primary language of the developer, and it used a lot of like broken English for some of the tutorials and how certain things would work. While it wasn't the worst thing for this game, it could be a downer if you're trying to make very specific decisions based on understanding what the text is saying. Nevertheless, I would say if you're a fan of action roguelites and you enjoy Dead Cells, then Blade of the Netherworld should be at least on your list. And now we turn to something a little bit strange with Goblinamerica, a first-person shooter recreation of America with goblins and gun tech. It's kind of like if we combine Cruelty Squad, Helix, and I guess American history all into a very weird blender. Our story, maybe, is that we are exploring various completely accurate events that have happened in American history, such as when Abraham Lincoln had to go on a shooting rampage and deal with John Wilkes Booth. Each level will have you exploring the environment. You'll choose from different starting weapons, and there are a lot of unlockables hidden behind the scenes. Our tech here is that your gun can also propel you if you shoot it on the ground at your feet. You have a slide as well. You'll explore each area, and you are timed, and you'll given a medal based on how quickly you get through levels. But there is definitely a reason to replay each level, as there are secret doors that can only be unlocked with special items, I believe, which will lead you down further secrets, unlocks, and more. This is one of those games that it definitely hurts in terms of onboarding. It is meant to be purposely obtuse in terms of what's going on and what you should be trying to figure out. But there is certainly nothing else like Goblinamerica that I could find. So if you are someone who enjoyed the craziness of Cruelty Squad and like your games on the confusing and very esoteric side, then you should give this one a check. For this game, it will probably make more sense to those of you watching this, but made less sense to me compared to our last game, and this is Arcane Assembly, a Metroidvania where our big twist is that you will literally create all your spells using assembly or visual programming. And yes, that is going to be the make or break it for you for this game. How this works is you'll gain access to various words and elements that you will then use the assembly language in order to create the properties, the effects, impact, and so on for your spells. It is as complicated as it is awesome. It is also something that, as someone who has no expertise when it comes to programming, especially in assembly, that I had any idea what I was doing. And I do think the onboarding could be a little bit better in this one, especially the GUI itself. Again, as someone with no background in terms of assembly, I had no idea what I was looking at. I think playing Lobby of Runa made more sense to me than doing this one. So this is definitely for the kind of programming puzzle audience fan. If you're someone who enjoys the likes of Zachtronics games, programming puzzles, and looking for a game that tests your programming as much as it tests your reflexes, I would highly recommend this one. But if you're like me and the thought of trying to understand assembly language is worse than trying to fight all the bosses in Elden Ring one after another, then you may want to stay away from this one. And now we turn to Card Detective. This is a single-player deck builder game where you must solve mysteries and investigations using the power of cards. Each person you talk to, you'll need to play certain cards to try and get past their defenses and alibis, while trying to figure out what are they really trying to say and what happened. Is in a very interesting point, this game made more sense to me compared to our last one. And there is some decent art here. However, there is kind of one, I guess, elephant in the room for this game, for those of you watching this. And I think you probably have figured it out by now. Despite the store page being in English as well as all the screenshots and trailers, there is no English translation in the game itself at this moment. And while I could get the basics of this one down, trying to understand the advanced rules kind of proved a little bit impossible for me. At one point the game was highlighting red text, as I'm sure this was something I was supposed to really do or something I should not do, but I had no idea what they were trying to say. The art is pretty good, and I think there is something here for deck building or card-based fans. If you can understand, I think, simplified Chinese, you should be good to go. Otherwise, I hope this game will get an English translation, so we can check it out in full when it is released. We now have Merchant Legends: The Founding. This is an economic focus JRPG. You have been tasked by the goddess in order to found a new city and try and keep the world in order at the same time. Not only will you explore the countryside looking for resources, completing quests, and powering up, but you must also build up your town, manage resources that come in, get new people or citizens to join you, and so on and so forth. There's a lot going on into this one, and I like what I was seeing in terms of the general gameplay. Our structure is that you will have to complete various tasks by the goddess, and this will come in the form of gathering resources or producing specific resources that you will need to move forward. Combat at the start is hands off, but the store page did hint at being able to actually direct your units in combat. While all this was good, I did run into a very big problem. I got stuck in the demo and I don't know why. The game was requiring me to collect a specific battle token, and it was not dropping from any of the enemies. And I could not tell if this was because there was a bug, or was I not fighting the right enemy, or I couldn't find the right encounter. So definitely some issues in terms of onboarding and just the general progression, but I did like what I was seeing. I'm always in the mood for a game that does the RPG design a bit differently compared to your standard JRPGs, CRPGs, and so on. So if you like JRPG design, looking for one where you will battle with the power of money, economics, and city infrastructure, then I would give this one a check, and maybe you'll have an easier time than I did trying to get past the opening. And with that, we have just one more episode left, and then the series is done, and then we get back to covering even more indie games and game design on the channel. So be sure to come back for the finale, and let me know what you think about all the games in the comments down below. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.